What's going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, not only are we going to be focusing on the potential to see the rise in XRP potentially to 60 to 70 cents, as well as we are going to be focusing on the XRP charts. Yesterday, I made a video and I want to go a little bit more in depth into that, basically discussing that XRP Ripple has one more dump followed by a potential rise. The video is doing quite well actually, and I really do like my thumbnail, huge props to that. You can see exactly what we're going to be focusing on more in depth today in regards to the fact that there is going to be a dip on Bitcoin coming, as well as following a potential rise to $15,000. Now, yesterday we spent quite a bit of time discussing the fact that there is the Bitcoin halving coming up in May of 2020. We're going to capitalize off of that to kind of show you where we could be seeing moves in the near future. Otherwise, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and let's jump into today's episode. So to continue off of where we left yesterday with the XRP Ripple chart, showing that there is a dump on Bitcoin followed by a near run, I want to talk about potentially expecting to see the same rally happen within XRP. Now, just for standard and just for talking about it right now, you guys know obviously that Bitcoin and XRP are clearly different coins and they have different charts and different channels forming. You can see on the weekly for Bitcoin, just to start off, clearly there is a different pattern that is happening on Bitcoin that is totally independent of XRP. You can see we're only using the daily because that's all the charting we have here on Bitfinex. It might be a little longer on Binance, but for right now, you can see that the coin merely does not have much play and much history compared to Bitcoin. And this is okay. For the most part, we know, and we can, verify this on the current coin market cap, that XRP and Bitcoin follow a very similar path. You can see Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. These three coins have a very, very, very similar price graph in regards to how the coin likes to trade. So you can see we've been in a near decline or downtrend on Bitcoin, and the same exact thing has been happening on XRP. Another downtrend is also forming. So with that in mind, I want to now focus more so on the short term of Bitcoin and XRP and how that could be relating to XRP in the short term. The reason we're not doing long term is because there's not enough graph on XRP right now. But what I want to focus on right now is just zooming in on the daily. You can see what exactly we've trended. Now, if you haven't watched the previous two videos, you were kind of confused with these blue trends right now. Basically, all I did was I copied previous channel and previous history of the 2017 to 2018 bull run on Bitcoin, and I've just merely overlaid this on top of the Bitcoin chart happening for this 2019 bull run that we had, which capitalized us up to around $13,000 from a starting point of around a mere $3,000, so about a $10,000 jump on the coin. Now that we're seeing this pattern layout, I want to continue and discuss the potential. Now, this is all just a potential possibility of what we could be seeing, but due to the fact that these charts are very similar, we should be expecting to see this outcome happen as well. So I want to kind of overlay this onto XRP to show you guys where we could see the potential of XRP to be going, as well as Bitcoin. So for right now, we know that this is December 28th, the end of December, we have the start of a downtrend. Now, when we look at XRP, we're at the end of the downtrend, or come the end of the downtrend would be right here, the end of December, which is right here. Notice where we are right here. We're in a massive descending triangle. We'll zoom out to the daily and you can see what it is that I'm referring to. You can see right now as this loads in, there we go. On this weekly, you can see that we are fairly low and at the bottom of what appears to be a massive downtrend that started in 2017, basically the peak of Bitcoin. We've had so much more history, and you can see that right now, this is just when XRP really started to take shape. So you can see this downtrend comes to an end right at around March, but I want to continue off of that. We have two price levels right here, two supports, one at around 20 cents and the other one is around 16 cents. So how does that play a factor in regards to where this price could potentially break out to? Well, let me answer that right now. So you can see, like we discussed, the end of right here, the end of Bitcoin tends to break bearish right down to here, and it starts at the end of December. So let's overlay this onto XRP, that the end of December, we will see that potential breakdown. So we're going to see a potential breakdown down to here, this potential area right at around 16 cents. How low is that? Well, we can find this out by taking a price graph and estimating that there's going to be about a 35% dip on this coin. So now we overlay this onto XRP, and we know that XRP could be potentially seeing this support at 20 cents being broken, and then seeing that immediate retracement and retestment of 16 cents. Now, if we then take the same price graph and we just pull this down to here, you'll notice a very interesting pattern is also taking shape. You can see for the most part, this is about a 30% dip as well. So Bitcoin having a breakdown, a future breakdown from the $7,300 all the way down to the $4,600 level will be the same exact percentage loss as XRP heading from the 22 to 21 cent area that we're at right now and falling all the way down to the 15 cent region that we're currently at. So you can see this aligns very similar with the Bitcoin chart. Now that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now we have to consider the date range, which will be from around the 25th, which is the breakout, to about right here. That's when I'd say we started to trend upwards. We could even consider it here, 51 bars, or we could overlay it to here where we start to see the uptrend. But I think the peak is right here. Once we bottom out at around 52 bars later, this is on February 15th, that's when we start to accumulate volume and start to head back up in this pattern. Now, taking 52 bars, which is February 15th, and applying that to XRP, let's see how far out this draws us. So from February 15th, let's just start it here. To February 15th is right around here. This is practically the end of what appears to be the massive downtrend. Now, if we just scale this up to the weekly, you can see what I'm referring to. So notice February 15th, which would have been the bottom on Bitcoin, after the dip down to the 16 cent zone, we're going to see the end of the accumulation into this point right here. That's immediately going to probably see a massive rise to the upside, mainly because this is rock bottom. We have not seen XRP break below 16 cents, even since its existence and its start, when it immediately fell back in, I believe this was 2017 or mid 2017. We fell to a low of about 16 cents and then immediately heading up, 15 and a half to be exact. So you can see as we accumulate and retest what appears to be the massive, massive, massive support that we have, and we actually haven't retested the support since 2017, we should see a positive reaction, which would ultimately lead to a major swing to the upside. So now we have to consider how big is this breakout going to continue. So we have a breakout, let's say we start right here, and the peak is right here, 78 bars later to May 5th. So we take May 5th and then apply that to the XRP chart. We take the XRP date range and we extend this out all the way to May 5th. So let's go June, July, August, September, October, November. I think we passed May. Right here, May 5th, right around this region right here. So this is on the weekly. Let's scale this out to the daily right here really quick so we can get a better overview of how long that actually is. So you can see once we end up peaking right here, we're probably going to see some sort of consolidation. And then we'll probably start to see that rise. This is the lowest we're going to see, and then we're going to start to see this uptick and this swing, which Bitcoin is obviously causing because, as we just recently explained, XRP piggybacks off of Bitcoin. So once we see that breakout happen, we're going to see this major upswing to the upside. Now, how big of a jump is that going to be? So now we have to take the price range and swing this up from the bottom all the way up to the top, which appears to be about a 180% swing to the upside, which would ultimately say that as we near towards May of 2020 with Bitcoin, we should see the price shoot from the $4,700 low all the way up to the $1,300 high, and that could be the high for the year. May could be so we have January, February, March, April, May, 5 months deep into 2020, about half the year, we should see the peak at $13,000. Now, I do have more information to discuss with you guys on this, but we'll do it after that. So we have 180% peak. So now we'll take that same price range and we'll scale this up in May. You can see right here, we should see 180% shoot us up right into this level. So about a 43%, skyrocket or price or breakout or correction to the upside, whatever you want to call it. We should be anticipating to see about 180% return, which would pretty much capitalize us from a 15 cent low, all the way up to a 43 cent high, about 180% gains if you capitalized off this. So now that we understand that in about May, which is December, the end of December, so we have December, January, February, March, April, May, about 6 months, a little less, maybe 5.5 months, we should see another high for 2020. Now, obviously, there are some factors that we have to play into consideration. One is, like I said, that we do have what appears to be the halving in 2020 of Bitcoin. So on May of 2020, one of those days, we're going to see Bitcoin half, which means it's going to be much harder, and people that are mining Bitcoin are going to be rewarded with less. Ultimately, we've seen it in the past, but usually people buy the rumor. We've seen it in Litecoin where people buy the rumor and the price of the coin goes very high, and then they ultimately sell the news and we see it, retrace all the way back down. So ultimately, that's what we're probably going to start to hear as we near May of 2020. Ultimately, we're going to start to see a swing back up. People are going to start talking more and more about this halving, and we're going to see the price ultimately, a rough estimate, shoot up to about the $13,000 level. Now, taking into consideration that Bitcoin hasn't halved in many years, so when we do decide to halve, there's a very high chance that we could potentially see some FOMO buying in, and that pretty much opens the game to prices as high as $20,000. Some people are estimating $15,000, $50,000 as a high. So there's obviously those things we have to take into consideration, but a conservative approach would shoot us up to about $13,000. So with that being said, the same thing would go for XRP. With that injection of volume into Bitcoin, money will also fall into here, and a conservative approach of about a 43-cent coin will be likely, and then we can obviously head higher up, 50, 60, 70 cents. I'm not really shooting for $3 just yet, but now we have to consider another thing on Bitcoin. So notice that we do have a dip right here. Well, something that I wasn't really aware of at the time, but now I've been trading for quite some time now. I know that there's actually ways to capitalize off of movements like this. So just because we have a short of 30 cents doesn't mean we have to lose money or wait another 2 months to eventually catch that rise back to the upside. Something called DueDEX, which is probably one of my favorite websites so far in 2019, is basically the fact that you can short this coin. So unlike Coinbase Pro, which doesn't allow you to short cryptocurrency or leverage trade, DueDEX does. The only thing with DueDEX is it can only be Bitcoin for right now. They do have some coins that are going to be adding to the exchange shortly. XRP, I believe, Litecoin, Ethereum as well will be added to this exchange, so you will be able to capitalize off those movements as well, and that will be a huge video that I'll push out. But as for right now, the game plan, and obviously if you have me on Patreon, you'll already know, but the game plan is to capitalize off this 30% retracement back down to around $4,600 to $4,700. Obviously, we'll put in our short right here, and we'll capitalize off the downtrend, the retracement lower. And then the great thing is we can actually leverage trade. So if you put in $100, you can actually make quite a bit more by 10 timesing the leverage, and you'll actually be trading around with a little over, or around $1,000. You can see that's pretty much how leverage trading works. So you don't actually have to have a big, pot to get big gains. You can actually borrow money from DueDEX and make money off of that. Obviously, the higher the leverage, the more risk there is to losing it, so you have to take those options in as well. And we have talked about other things on the channel that you have to be aware of on DueDEX. The fact that the longer you open a position, they do actually charge a fee for, I think, every 8 hours that you have money in here on an open position, but it's only about a 10-cent fee, so it's really nothing considering we're trying to shoot to make a couple $100 fairly quick. You also have to consider that they will liquidate your position if your balance becomes negative. So basically, if you have a position open at 72 and you're trying to buy long, expecting it to go up to 95, and you fall down to 6,500 and you have a high leverage open, I think once you're over a negative 100 or 150% dip, they'll actually short it so you don't basically crap out your bank account or your account wallet. So consider that as well as an option. And lastly, to wrap up the video, so with the shorting, we know that we have the downtrend to expect right here. That's pretty much going to sum up the video. The only thing I wanted to mention was as we veer closer to here, we can pretty much see what's going on. We really don't have that many days before we end what appears to be the massive rally of 2019. We have, I'd say, all of, wow, that is not 70 bar. That's not 70 days, but it's 11 days. So we have less than 2 weeks, almost a week now, where we will see a potential break to the downside here. That's pretty much what I'm shooting for. Obviously, if I'm wrong and we shoot higher up, we'll capitalize off that as well. But as far as the game plan is going, there's a very, very, very high percentage chance that we're going to see this drop all the way down to around the $4,600 region. But you can see we're pretty much filling in right now. Consolidation is pretty much taken over the market. Volume has pretty much died off. There's a slight bullish cross on the MACD, but honestly, it's very short term. A small dip or a small spike from 72 all the way up to 74.50 is a possibility, and there is a resistance band at around the 72 $92, $98 area. And otherwise, I'm honestly going to expect to see a little more consolidation in here, probably bounce around on the resistances and supports right here, and then eventually probably see that dip. Now, obviously, that dip can happen much quicker. We could see that in 3 days from now, 4 days from now, 5 days from now. So obviously, with that knowledge being present, you should obviously make sure to have me on Patreon and take advantage and sign up for free on the DueDEX account. It is the first link in the description, and I do believe they offer sign-up bonuses for a certain amount of Bitcoin you deposit. They'll give you like $30, $60, and $90, I think, depending on what you invest into Bitcoin. Obviously, you can always remove it off the exchange if that's just what you're into. Otherwise, that's pretty much going to wrap up today's episode, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We're trying to break 13,000 subs, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.